Gestamp and the COVID-19. Hello everyone, and welcome again to a new number of this podcast series intended to keep all of us, Gestamp team, adequately informed and firmly united across the COVID-19 crisis. Our goal is to provide useful news and practical information to help us overcome together these difficult weeks. Precisely this very week we have published a new video in the Gestamp YouTube channel focused on how we are going through the pandemic crisis with high levels of commitment and teamwork of all our people across the world in all our plants. Please check this video that you can find in our social networks YouTube, Facebook, Twitter and LinkedIn. Since the beginning of the COVID-19 spread, Gestamp has been taking measures to prevent contagion among our workers. Priority has always been the health and safety of our employees and their families. Today we will talk in this podcast about going back to work in our plants and offices. Gestamp is gradually reopening and relaunching activity in our plants in the world. It is a progressive and a cautious process, carefully organized both to provide our clients, as usual, the best possible service and to ensure maximum standards of health and safety policies. Willing to know details about the reopening procedures, we have asked one of our plant managers, Jonathan Phillips, at Aycliffe plant in the United Kingdom, several questions. First of all, let's remember when and for how long did the Aycliffe plant remain closed?
So on the 23rd of March, with an escalating number of COVID-19 related deaths, the UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson announced that the people of the UK were to stay in their homes and only leave them if absolutely necessary. He announced that these measures were to be enforced with the police support and reviewed after 3 weeks. At this point, we made the decision in the interests of the safety of our workforce and to protect the National Health Service that we must close the Aycliffe plant. The plant remained closed for the subsequent 3 weeks and reopened on the 14th of April.
How were communications kept with clients and with employees during the closure?
During the period of the closure, we were in dialogue continuously with our clients and our employees. It was really important for us to have clear communication lines with our clients so we could respond to their needs and their plans for restarting production, but also for our employees to keep up to date with the customer plans so that they could prepare themselves for work. During the enforced shutdown, we sent a weekly planned communication brief to all our employees. Our local managers had the phone numbers of all our employees and rang them with updates, and we also used social media routes such as WhatsApp.
Indeed, digital tools have made possible to keep in touch. Were there any departments that necessarily had to keep working during the shutdown? How did they arrange things?
When we closed the Aycliffe plant, the majority of our customers had also taken the decision to shut their facilities. However, China was ahead of the UK in the curve of the pandemic, and they had already begun to resume production. This meant that they still required product from us, and as a result we needed to supply export product, albeit in small quantities. And to this end, we did have a small number of our logistics employees working to support this customer requirement across our shutdown period. Again, we provided those people with suitable PPE, suitable social distancing, and it was a very reduced number of people. We did have other departments who, although there was a stop to production, had significantly increased workloads during this time, and primarily our finance team. They needed to work quickly to provide forecast information to allow us to understand the financial impact of the closure of the plant. However, these people were able to work from the safety of their homes and support the business needs from their homes.
Yes, work at home has been a worldwide routine these weeks. What kinds of preparations and activities did you carry to be ready for reopening?
From the moment that we closed the plant, we were really preparing to reopen. Clearly, with the coronavirus, the health, safety and welfare of our employees and their families are of the utmost importance. And to this end, our primary focus was on developing a risk-based control plan to protect our employees and reduce the spread of the disease. So the management team met in the plant across the period of the closure to develop our controls document and to prepare the site for opening. The health and safety team looked at the key areas of PPE, site entry and exit control, movement of people around the site, and measures to improve the cleaning and sanitising regime. There were also some hotspot processes whereby we have two-person lifting and export packaging, which we needed to develop control measures for in order to limit the close contact of our employees. Time was spent developing a return to work booklet, which was emailed and posted to all of our employees prior to their return. And this was a booklet containing Mr. Ribaras's opening letter to the Gestamp family and practical information on what was going to happen on their return to work.
And when did the plant reopen?
A return date was set on the 14th of April, which was supported by our largest customer, Volvo Cars, based in Sweden. And in terms of our communication to our employees, we did this through several methods. On their return to work, we issued our employees with letters from the plant, which was essentially a passport to show to the authorities in the event that they were stopped and asked why they were not at home. And this was the route that we followed to inform institutions. It was very important for us that our employees felt as comfortable as possible and understood that the plant was a safe place to come with controls in place to ensure that they were protected against the spread of the coronavirus. What was pleasing to hear from our employees was that they thought that we'd done an excellent job in protecting them, with people saying they felt safer at work than they did when they went to the local supermarkets to get food.
That says a lot about good job done, Jonathan. But what kind of changes were experienced in the daily work of different departments back to activity?
The quality team, they needed to consider that we had people returning to work not from holiday, but from a period of isolation in the midst of a global health emergency, and also returning to work in a new and different environment, where we would normally have a period of time to brief our teams on quality controls, types of product failure, and work closely with them to ensure that they were ready for production. Now we had to do this with social distancing, face masks, and a new way of moving around the factory in one-way systems, limited access to locker areas, and generally in a country still in the middle of a lockdown, which is all very disorientating for the employee. So we used videos, created specific documentation for people to read, and increased our patrols. We gave people the time to acclimatise to the new way of working, staggering our shift times and phasing people back into work to allow us to spend the maximum amount of time readjusting to this new environment. For the maintenance team, again, we had to reconsider our approach. There was the standard return to work checks that you would have typically after a shutdown period, but for this team we had the added complication that sometimes they needed to work very closely together to repair equipment, and also the sharing of equipment and tools. So the use of PPE, education around the cleaning of equipment was very important. We've introduced cleaning stations so that the HMI screens and the tooling could be cleaned after use, and social distancing measures were introduced in the maintenance workshops. So for stock and logistics activities, we also needed to consider these. We needed to ensure that our stock was still in an okay condition after 3 weeks. We did take some protective measures using protective wrapping to reduce the likelihood of degradation of stock, but we needed to confirm this. And then in terms of the use of forklift trucks, again, we needed to introduce a cleaning regime, providing stations where the drivers could clean down the trucks before and after use.
Thank you, Jonathan. Indeed, Aycliffe's case is one of excellence and professionalism, as is the general standard in Gestamp Group. Congratulations, Jonathan, and a warm bravo to all the Gestamp people in Aycliffe. Thank you for your example and your attitude. All our plants and offices are gradually retaking their activities and business. Lines, stamping, stocks, deliveries, design, administration. Gestamp is progressively coming back, step by step, strong and united. And this is only possible keeping in mind that health and safety is a must, an absolute priority, a necessary condition. We will provide the best to our clients and ensure a safe Gestamp for all. The aim is to reduce the impact of the pandemic on our people and our business. Stay strong, Gestamp.